Are you tired of constantly clicking through Excel sheets to find the one you need? Most Excel users just click through their sheets like this, but that can be frustrating and really slow down your workflow. I'm about to show you a game-changing solution that will transform the way you navigate your Excel files. Get rid of this confusion, replace it with a customized master sheet that will give you a comprehensive, at-a-glance view of all your worksheets. With just a click, you'll be able to jump to any worksheet in your workbook. But that's not all. I'll also show you how to customize your master sheet with different colors and layouts to match your personal style. And I'll even take you step by step through the process of creating this from scratch so that you can learn how to build similar solutions yourself. I've organized this video into 10 levels. We'll start with Excel's built-in navigation pane and discuss its limitations. Next, we'll manually create a basic master sheet. It's quick, but you'll soon see why it might not be enough. By level 3, we're enhancing it with a powerful formula that solves some problems but introduces new ones. And that's when we level up our skills by entering the world of Excel VBA in level 4. From here to level 10, we'll build an automated master sheet that updates by itself and can be used in any workbook you manage. Customize it further to reflect your style with unique layouts and color schemes. Are you ready to start? Let's begin with an easy way to navigate your workbook. Level 1. Here is a business budget. It has 4 worksheets: Plan, Actual, Variance, and Analysis. But it could easily have 10, 20, or even 100 sheets. How can we quickly navigate around the sheets? If you have Excel 365, you can select View and look in the Show group, and then click on Navigation. This brings up the navigation pane for the current workbook. It normally comes up on the right of the screen, but you can have it free-floating, or you can dock it to the left. Now, to close it, click here. You can also open the navigation pane using the status bar at the bottom of the screen. Right-click here, then select Sheet Number. This will add a sheet count. Just click on the sheet count and the navigation pane opens. So the navigation pane shows sheets and objects on the sheet. You can click on sheet names, take you to the sheet, and then you can click on the arrow to hide the objects that are on the sheet. Now when you click on an object like this image, it's going to select the image. If you click on a cell, it selects the cell. If you click on a table, it will select the table. So this is great for jumping around different parts of your workbook. And I'll include this sample workbook so that you can actually play around with it and use the navigation pane. Check out the video description for a link. So what are the pros of using the navigation pane? Well, it's super fast to start using. You just click on View and then click on Navigation. And then you can change where you dock it, so you can even have it free-floating. Then you can search. So if I type chart, see what happens. I can select the expenses chart or the monthly chart. And of course, it has clickable objects. Like I click on this image and it will take us back up. And then we can right-click and bring up this option menu. Even though I use Excel quite a lot, I only found out about the navigation pane when I started making this video. And it's good to use Excel's built-in features before building your own custom solutions if the built-in feature does the job you want. Now, if you know of someone who could benefit from using the navigation pane, just share this video with them and tell them to watch level 1. You can pause the video and use the share button below. I'll be right here when you're done. Okay, back to the tutorial. So if the navigation pane is so good, why did I make it level 1? Well, it does have some drawbacks. You can only use the navigation pane if you have a newer version of Excel, so it won't work for you if you have an older version. And the menu shows every object on every sheet. So imagine having 50 sheets like this, it becomes very hard to navigate. Now the other thing is, if you close the workbook, the navigation pane disappears. When you open the workbook again, you have to remember to go to View and Navigation to bring it back up. And finally, you can't customize the appearance of the pane or embed it into a sheet. And that's why we're going to make our own master sheet. Level 2. Let's make a customized master sheet that gives you clickable links to every sheet in your workbook. You can design it how you want. I decided to go with a clean blue theme that's simple and functional. Here's how it works. You want to go to the plan sheet, you click on this link. And then if you go back, you want to go to the actual, you go to this link, and so on. Let's create the layout. I'll go to this blank sheet and type in Master Sheet. Let's make it bold. And I'll center it across these 3 columns. Press Ctrl 1. In Alignment, Horizontal, we'll select Center Across Selection. Hit Enter. And I'll add top and bottom borders. So Ctrl 1 again. I'll go to Border, select a thick border, choose a black color, to the top border, to the bottom border, and hit Enter. Now we want to increase the font size. Let's increase it to a 14. And then we'll change the row height. Let's make that 28. And the last thing we'll do here for the header is middle align it like that. So we're done with the header. Let's do the sheet numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to center align and middle align. Then I'll choose a fill color. Let's use this blue, and text is white. That's looking better. Let's make this a bit squarer. The column width, going to change that to 4. And the row height, I'm going to change that to 20.8. Now add some borders here. So I'm going to press Ctrl 1, choose thick borders, and go click on white color. We'll do outline and inside. Hit Enter. And there we have the sheet numbers. Let's add the sheet names. Got plan, actual, and variance, plus analysis. Now I'm going to middle align these. So go to Home, middle align. Then I'm going to click Link, put link in here. So the link text. This one I think I want to center align. So let's go Home and click on Center Align. Then I also want to indent these. So the sheet names are indented. Let's do 1 indent. Last thing to do here is change the column width. Let's make it 11. And so there is the layout. The next thing we want to do is add links. To add a link, simply right-click on a cell, then click on Link. This will bring up the Insert Hyperlink dialog box. We want to place the link in this document, and we'll select the sheet, which in this case is Plan, and click OK. Now that's changed to a hyperlink. You can see the blue and the underline. We can do the same for this cell. Now, the alternative to right-clicking is to press Ctrl K. So Ctrl K brings up the Insert Hyperlink dialog box directly. And so I'll go and select Actual, click OK. I'll quickly do this. I'll fast forward this. And there we have it. We have these 4 links added. I'll just quickly check they work. If I press on this link, it brings up the planned expenses. And so if you're pressed for time and working with a small number of sheets, say 4 or 5, use this method in level 2. It's quick and easy to get started with. And also feel free to change Master Sheet to something like Table of Contents or Navigation Sheet if you prefer. However, it is a lot of work if you do this for more than 4 or 5 sheets, and so you might link to the wrong sheet by accident. How can we fix this? Let's move on to using the hyperlink function. Level 3. By building our master sheet using the hyperlink function, we can do it faster than if we just use manual hyperlinks. We'll use the same table layout as in level 2, but now instead of adding manual hyperlinks, we'll add hyperlinks using the hyperlink function. We'll create a formula in the first cell. You can see the formula up here. That will look up the sheet name in column C, and then we'll fill down that formula to create hyperlinks for every sheet. Let's start with the syntax of the hyperlink function. So it has 2 parameters. The first is address, and the second is text. To generate the address, we want to include these double quote marks on the outside. And then we have this hash sign, which refers to the current workbook. Then we enclose the sheet name inside single quotes, followed by an exclamation mark, which is also called a bang by coders. So I'll just use bang because it's easier to say. And then the cell we want to go to when we click on the hyperlink, in this case, A1 on sheet plan. So that's how we generate the address. Just remember, we need to use this hash sign to refer to the current workbook. And we can build up the address using the ampersand, this and sign, to connect the different parts together. So what we're going to have is this C4, this bit is variable. This will change as we drag the formula down. And so when we build up the hyperlink formula, we're going to use the first part here, which is creating the double quote marks and the hash and the single quote mark. We're going to follow it by C4, which when we drag down will become C5, C6, and C7. So C4 here refers to plan. And then we'll close this off with a single quote and a bang in between these double quote marks with the cell A1. And then we'll use this text link to display what we want to show on the sheet. Let's give it a try. I will click in here and type equals hyperlink, open parenthesis, double quote marks, hash, single quote, double quotes, ampersand, C4, ampersand, double quotes, single quote, bang, double quote, ampersand, double quote, A1, double quote, comma, double quote, link, double quote, close parenthesis, hit enter. Now you see it's changed the format to a hyperlink. So we know that's changed from text to being a hyperlink. We can just copy that down. I'll press Ctrl D. And now let's test this. So I click on the link and we go to the planned expenses. I'll head back to level 3, click on this link. It goes to actual expenses. Head back, click on this link. It goes to variance, which is very good. And then we click on this link, which is analysis. Great. So instead of having to link each of these separately, we create one formula and then we copy it down. As you can see, you can add more sheets. In fact, you can just add, let's say 50 sheets or 100 sheets. As long as you have the name of the sheets here, you can create a hyperlink for each sheet. But look what happens when I rename a sheet. I'm going to change plan to planned and ED. Go back to level 3. Now watch what happens when I click on this link. It says the reference isn't valid because the hyperlink formula is trying to build with the sheet name of plan instead of the new sheet name, which is planned. So you have to remember to update the table if you rename a sheet. So I'm going to change this from plan to planned, and you'll see it should work now. If I click on the link and takes us to planned expenses. Okay, that's good. But it does show that if you change the name of a sheet, you've got to change it here. In fact, if you add a sheet or remove a sheet, you also need to update this table by hand, which includes dragging the formulas up and down. Now this is because the list doesn't update by itself. So in summary, using the hyperlink function is faster than using the manual hyperlinks if you need to list more than a few sheets. But the hyperlinks break when you rename sheets, so you need to keep the list of sheets up to date in your table. And the table doesn't update if you add or remove sheets. so you need to add and remove the corresponding sheet names by yourself. This is all a bit high maintenance, so let's tap into the power of VBA to create an automated master sheet. Level 4. We want to build a master sheet solution that we can reuse over and over again in any workbook. And we'll use VBA, which is the programming language built right into Microsoft Excel. For those of you who don't know what VBA is, it stands for Visual Basic for Applications. Watch this video to give you an idea of how you can benefit by learning VBA. And if you already know and use VBA, you can follow along and build the same solution or enhance it to meet your own needs. On our levels overview, we're at level 4. What are the pros of using VBA? Well, it lets us develop an automated solution that you can copy to a new workbook, and it's very customizable. However, you do need to know VBA to implement the customizations. But once you're done, you can reuse this in other workbooks. So I think that's a fair trade-off, don't you? Let me show you why the automated master sheet is worth building. Here's a master sheet that I prepared earlier. It links to 20 worksheets and updates by itself. Let me show you what happens when I right-click on sheet 1 and rename it. I'll add a -new, hit enter, then go back to the master sheet. You see it automatically updates for sheet 1's new name. Now I can also delete a worksheet, so I'm going to click on sheet 2. I'll right-click and hit delete. Continue to permanently delete this, then head back to the master sheet, and you'll see sheet 2's disappeared from the list. We can also add a sheet, so I'll head down here and click on the plus button. This has added a new sheet called sheet 1. We'll head back to the master sheet, and you'll see a new sheet 1 in the first position. And finally, we can move sheets. So if I wanted to reposition sheet 1 new in front of sheet 1 by clicking and dragging it, and head back to the master sheet, you see the position has changed. Even better, we can use this master sheet in any workbook. Here I have a new workbook. It's called Book 1, and it only has one sheet. Now I'll add 79 sheets using a macro that I have saved in my personal macro workbook. So hit run on this. And when I come back to Book 1, I right-click on the navigation arrows. You will see that we have indeed got 80 sheets in this workbook. Now imagine trying to create a master sheet for all these by hand. That would take ages. Instead, all we need to do is copy this master sheet into Book 1. So I'm going to right-click on Master, move or copy to the book, Book 1. Before sheet 1, create a copy. And look, we have an automatically created master sheet with all 80 sheets. You can change the color scheme to suit your personal preference or your organization's branding colors, and you could even change the layout and formatting if you so wish. And I've prepared a workbook, give you a sample of colors to try out on your own master sheet. Just look down in the video description for a link. So let's start out with this blank sheet and create some VBA, end up with this cool clickable master sheet that updates all by itself and can be customized to your heart's content. Easy, right? Just like this tutorial on how to draw an owl. Of course, this is a joke. We need more intermediate steps like this. So I'll break down the solution into smaller parts that are easier for you to follow. So we start, before we run any VBA code, this is what our workbook looked like. In step 1, we'll run this sub-procedure called Create Master Sheet. First thing this does is it creates a master sheet if it doesn't already exist and puts it in the position 1. The second thing is it changes the row heights and the column widths to give us more spacing. In step 2, we set up the master sheet header. So this adds the master sheet header text and formats it. Now instead of calling this master sheet, you could call this table of contents or navigation or sheet list if you prefer. In step 3, this is the first part of step 3, we run the procedure create sheet list. The first thing this does is it adds the sheet list, which is inside this rectangle here. And each sheet starts with the sheet number and then the sheet name. So sheet 1, sheet 2, sheet 3, sheet 4. And then we restart the columns after we reach the maximum column number, in this case, 10. So we'll go all the way down to sheet 8, sheet 9, sheet 10, then wrap up to sheet 11 at the top here. Then go all the way down to sheet 20. If we had sheet 21, it would continue up here. So in step 4 of create sheet list, this is part 2 of it, we are going to format the first column of sheets. So it appears like this with the light blue background and a hyperlink that's bolded with the gray background for the sheet name. And in step 5, which is the final part, we'll apply the same formatting to every column that we have. So you might have multiple columns if you have lots of sheets. In step 6, we're going to update the master header format. This applies a second round of formatting to fit the header across all the sheet columns that we've just created. And step 7, which happens inside the worksheet activate sub-procedure, we're going to add back buttons to every sheet so the user can quickly navigate back to the master sheet. Then in step 8, we'll remove navigation headings, which are the column letters here and the row numbers here, so that we are left with a nice clean master sheet. And we have an optional step, which is to display this gray text box with the complete master sheet spec list. So when you set constant ms display specs as boolean equals true, this will display the gray box. So the reason you might want to do this is it helps you to share your master sheet specs. So gallery 1, if you expand these columns, you'll see the master sheet specifications, and you can see where I've highlighted the number color that's changed. And so you can change any of these constants and generate a new master sheet appearance, customize it to your heart's content, and then you'll see exactly what was changed inside these master sheet specifications. Okay, a quick but an important announcement. If there's something else you want me to make a video about, comment about it below. And if you see someone else's request that you want to see, make sure you click the like button on it. The comment or comments with the most likes are the ones I'll focus on, as long as they're relevant. So head down to the comment section to add your requests and vote for other people's requests. All right, back to the tutorial. Level 5. After the design stage, the next task is to set up an outline of the VBA code inside the VB editor. Here's a new workbook called Master Sheet Build, which I've saved as a macro-enabled file. To do that, go to File, click on Save As, and from the drop-down, select Macro-Enabled Workbook, and press Save. Now we'll go into the Developer tab and click on Visual Basic, or press Alt and F11 as the keyboard shortcut to get into the Visual Basic editor. Now, as a quick side note, if you don't have the Developer tab, just right-click on the ribbon and click on Customize the ribbon. On the right-hand side, in Main tabs, you'll see the Developer option. Now just make sure that it is checked like this, and then click on OK. That will bring up the Developer tab for you. Now we'll head into the VB editor by pressing Alt and F11. So I'll just hide this for now. We're in Sheet 1's code. You see this option explicit just forces us to declare all our variables. The first thing I think you should do, and here's a little pro tip, is change the code name of the sheet. So once you've clicked on Sheet 1, you can then view and then click on Properties. That will bring up the Properties window if you don't already have it open. Then the name inside parentheses is the code name. You want to change that from Sheet 1 to something like Master Sheet, so that it's easy for you to recognize later. Press Enter. So up here in the Project Explorer, can see that I've changed the name from Sheet 1 to Master Sheet. Next, it's time to write the main procedure in outline form. So we're going to follow the steps we laid out in level 4. Basically, sub for sub procedure, update underscore master underscore sheet. And I'll hit enter and it will complete the end sub for me as well as these parentheses. Now I'll go to a new line, press tab to indent. And what we're going to do is call a new sub procedure, which we haven't yet written, but we will write soon. Create underscore master underscore sheet. And enter again. So that will create the master sheet. Then we'll call a second sub procedure, which is call set underscore up underscore master underscore sheet underscore header. Hit enter again twice, and then call a third sub procedure, which is create underscore sheet underscore list. Enter, call update underscore master, oopsies, master underscore header underscore format. Hit enter twice, and then call add underscore navigation underscore buttons. Enter. And finally, one more thing, which is the optional display the text box with specifications. So if we have we'll define this constant later, we'll call it MS capital D ISPLAY for display, capital S PECS. So master sheet display specs equals true, then call another sub procedure, which is display underscore text box underscore with underscore specifications. Hit enter. And there we have the outline of the main procedure. Now it won't do anything because there is no sub procedure for create master sheet and set up master sheet header and so on. We'll write these later. Now I've just noticed I've misspelled navigation buttons. It should be BUTTONS, so I've just gone and fixed that. And what we want to do is trigger this update master sheet to automatically run when the user clicks on the master sheet inside Excel over here. So it's still called Sheet 1, but it will soon be called Master. So when the user clicks on Sheet 1 from another worksheet, this procedure is going to automatically run. To do that, we're going to insert a worksheet event. So click on this drop down, click on worksheet. This is not the right one, so click on the second drop down and click on activate. So let's get rid of the first event. What we want is the second event, the worksheet activate. So I'm going to cut this and paste this at the top here above the main procedure because that shows me that this is going to run first. Now I'll just add a few comments at the top to make it clear. All these green lines are commented text. In fact, anything that you put in after a single quote mark is a comment. So comments are very useful because they help you to document what you've been doing and help you to understand your code later on. Now I'm going to copy and paste code I've written earlier to save us some time. Right, so let's start and explain this. The first thing I've actually done is declare a variable with this dim keyword. Dimension dim WS master, so the worksheet master as worksheet. So it's a type of object called a worksheet. We'll use this later on, so just ignore it for now. And we'll look at this. This is the key part for us. Private sub worksheet underscore activate. So we've got a line at the top which says application.screenUpdating equals false. That means we just don't show any screen updates to speed up what the user sees. And the main bit is this one. We'll call update underscore master underscore sheet, which is the main procedure we just wrote. After we've run all the steps in the main procedure, we're going to select the top left cell in the sheet list, which we'll do by using this line here, me.cells. The first parameter is fill with this S row. The second parameter is fill with this S column. So sheet row and sheet column is my shorthand. And these two are constants that I'm going to declare later. Close parenthesis dot select. So all that does is select the first cell in the sheet list. Next, we're going to turn off the row column headings, the headings here at the top. So you see these row column headings and row numbers. We'll do that by active window dot display headings equals false. And then finally, we'll switch on screen updates again. So application dot screen updating equals true. And that is the worksheet activate event procedure, which runs anytime a user clicks on the master sheet. It will be sheet 1 now, but it will be called master later, once they've come from another sheet. Now we're going to look at the master sheet constants. I'll paste them into the top of the code window like this. This will be a single location for us to customize our master sheet by changing the values on these lines to change colors or to change formatting. Now if you look at these, you might think I've made the whole list in one shot, but you'd be wrong. I'm nowhere near good enough to do that. The reality is that when I developed the solution, I changed this section a lot as I was making changes to the design. So I'm just simplifying it for you here to show you the end result. And you can download the sample workbook for the full list of constants. Just check out the video description below. Let me now take you through how I've organized this constants area. The first part is the sample list of colors. And I have a list of colors here which match the colors in Gallery 2, which you can find in the downloadable workbook. Now these colors, they're expressed in the form of long integers, but also I've put in comments RGB equivalents, so red, green and blue equivalents. But the long integer is what VB uses as its color code. Next, we have constants to define each of the elements. So this pink master sheet, yellow master sheet header, green sheet list, purple sheet list number elements, and blue sheet list name elements. And I've put them in order here. So the master sheet element is this pink one. The master sheet header element is this yellow one. And the sheet list main elements is this green area. And the sheet list numbers element is down here, the purple one. And the sheet list name elements is this blue one. So just to clarify, when I say master sheet, I mean everything that's on this sheet. When I see master sheet header, it's just this section at the top here. When I say sheet list, it's referring to all these sheets listed from 1 to 20 in this image. The sheet list number elements are the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And the sheet list name elements are sheet 1, sheet 2, sheet 3, sheet 4, and so on. So rather than go through every one of the constants one by one, which would take a very long time, let's go and check out what I've prepared for you here. In the downloadable workbook, there is a worksheet called Design 2. This lets you see visually what each of the constants means. So when you open this, click on Home, then go to Find and Select, then click on Selection Pane. Now this brings up the selection pane. I can use this to unhide different images. So in this case, I've placed Master Sheet in pink over here, and you can see R height for row height, C width for column width, and MS back color for Master Sheet back color, plus the MS display specs, which is the optional whether or not you display the text box with the specifications of the master sheet. Now we can then hide this and unhide the master sheet header. So you see this area is called the master sheet header. Then we can unhide the master sheet text and color. I haven't listed all of those out, but they are inside the VB editor. What I've done here is listed the start position. So M row, comma, M column, M row, M col. This is where the X marks the spot. In our case, I've set M row to be 2 and M col to be 2. So row 2 This is row 1, row 2, and column 2, column 1, column 2. That marks the position where the master sheet header starts. Now I'm going to hide that and then unhide the header padding and height. So you can see we've defined M top padding, as in master top padding, with the distance between the top of the worksheet and the top of the master sheet header. M left padding, which is the distance between the left of the worksheet and the left of the master sheet header. M bottom padding, which is the distance between the master sheet header and the sheet list, and so on. And then you can hide that, and check out, say, the sheet list, which is this set of green shapes. Again, you can see why this time marks the start position of the sheet list with S row as the sheet row and S col as the sheet column, plus this show hidden, whether or not we show hidden sheets or we hide hidden sheets, as well as S height, which is the height of these rows, and max rows, which is the maximum number of rows before we start wrapping up. So then you can hide that and then unhide the sheet number elements and the sheet name elements. And so you'll see these padding constants are indicated here. So I've given you this as a tool. You can either hide all and then click on the screenshot to reveal just the screenshot, or you can show all and you see all the constants that I've defined in this visually, or you can selectively hide everything but show bits like, say, the start position. Right, with our outline created, it's time for us to move on. What we'll do next is make it easier to test our macro as we develop it. Level 6. Let's set up the VB editor so we can quickly test our worksheet activate event procedure. We'll do this by setting up a custom VB editor toolbar to add a workbook so we can jump to the worksheet activate event procedure easily. Normally, if you want to test the worksheet activate macro, you can go back to the Excel interface and click on another sheet, then click back into the master sheet to trigger the worksheet activate event. Then you need to go back to the VB editor to return to edit your code. This is fine, but it means you have to switch to the Excel interface to click another sheet, then click the master sheet, and then head back to the VB editor. And when you're developing a new VBA macro, you'll be doing a lot of testing. So is there a way to make it easier? First, let me clear out the master sheet. I'll just select this here, go to Home, and click on Clear, Clear All. Now that we've reset that, head back into the VB editor. So we can test the event procedure from inside the VB editor by putting the text cursor anywhere inside text of this. So either on the first line or somewhere in the middle. I'll just put it on the first line for now. Then we head up to here and click on the Run button. As you can see, it has updated the master sheet because it's just run through the worksheet activate event. Now this is fine if you don't have much code, but if you have a situation like this, when you've got lots of pages of code, it can actually be very tricky to find the right procedure. So let's say you were editing something here, then you want to go run the worksheet activate event. You'd have to go all the way back up and find it, which is, where is it? Oh, here it is. So you can see if you have more code, it gets harder to find the correct procedure to activate. So here's a different way. Let me clear out the master sheet again. So I'll select all this, go to Home, and then click on Clear and Clear All. Now we've cleared this. Let's go back to the VB editor. So inside the VB editor, what we do is select that first line. Then we click on this button to toggle the bookmark on and off. This blue bookmark will be what we use later. So now we've got this blue bookmark. Let's say we continue editing our code somewhere here. I might make some changes. It's making some random changes. Let's imagine I'm changing the code. So now we're ready to test. We just go back up, click on this button, which is next bookmark. You see it's gone straight to this line. And then you can press Run. And there we go. It's run the worksheet activate procedure. So all you need to do when you're editing So you're editing this line here. You click on this button, then this button, and it runs. Much easier than scrolling through pages and pages of code to find the right procedure. Now, the first thing I recommend you do is set up your own custom toolbar. At the moment, you can see this is the standard toolbar. You can go to View and Toolbars, and then click on Customize. Brings up the Customize menu. And what you can do is create a new toolbar. Well, we can call it anything you want. Give it a name, click OK. So I have one called Victor Custom. I can check that box to show it, and then uncheck the standard one to hide it. So this custom toolbar has a few buttons I like to have readily available. For our purpose, what we want to do is go into Commands and then find inside Edit. Down here in Edit Category, we can see the bookmark buttons. And so to bring one of these buttons into the toolbar, you click and drag it, and you'll see there's a little insertion point that comes up. I'll let go here. So you just added that button. You can add as many of these as you want, as many times as you want, but you only need one. So to remove it, you just click, drag somewhere off here, click, drag somewhere off. So do the same. We have the toggle bookmark. We have the next bookmark. You can add previous bookmark or clear all bookmarks if you wish. Then we go to the Run category and then copy the Run button up here. So I've got two, don't need two, just have that one. All right, so now we're set up. We can close this dialog box. And then to use it, as I showed before, just select the place you want to bookmark, toggle the bookmark on or off, then click on Next Bookmark and Run when you want to go ahead and run it. Okay, so now we have a quick method of testing the macro. Let's proceed to create the master sheet. Level 7. Now it's time for us to create all the sub-procedures that support the main procedure. We'll first create the master sheet, and then we'll set up the master sheet header. Then we'll create the sheet list, and finally, we'll update the master header format. Here's the master sheet build spreadsheet we created in level 5. At the moment, we only have an outline for the sub-procedures that we want to create. First, we'll rename sheet 1 to master. I'll double-click and type in master. Hit enter. Only one sheet can have the name master. Then I'll add 20 sheets. I'll do this with a macro in my personal macro workbook. I'll head into Sheets and then run this macro. Okay, now let's find our way back to the master sheet. Click that. So there's an error here because we haven't commented these out. Let's click OK. And we'll stop code execution. Then I'm going to select all these lines except for the first one, because we're going to work on that first. And then I'm going to go up to comment block. And that will mean that it skips all of these lines. And we're only going to be working on create master sheet first. Now, in the interest of saving time, I'll often copy and paste code that I've written before instead of just typing it in. And you can get the full code in the downloadable workbook. See the video description below. So let's add some comments to show that we're writing supporting procedures. I'm going to copy that, paste it here, and replace that text with supporting procedures. Okay, let's create this subroutine. Sub create underscore master underscore sheet. Hit enter. And I'm going to declare a variable, which is dim sh as shape, because we'll use this to remove all shapes on the master sheet. Then I'm going to add this section. So this bit, there's an error handler here. So as soon as it says on error, go to error handler, anything after this line, up to the point where it says on error, go to 0, anything between these two is going to move us to the error handler if there's an error. And if there isn't an error, it will just keep running. So on error, go to error handler. Make sure the name of the sheet is master. So if me.name, where me in this case is the master sheet object, where the code is, if me.name is not equal to master, then me.name equals master, just in case you've renamed the sheet by accident. You might have renamed it to sheet 1 or sheet 0 by accident. And in that case, what this does is it just makes sure the name is master. If everything is good, it will just keep going to the end of this, which is exit sub. But there might be a problem if there's another sheet that's called master. We're going to throw off an error, and this error handler is going to catch it. So there can only be one sheet that's called master. What we need to do is tell the user with the message box, make sure no other sheet is called master, and then this line end will end the code execution. Okay, I've just added some code here, scrolling up. So from this line, we're going to put the master sheet in the leftmost position. So me.move before equals worksheets 1. So down here, worksheets 1 is whichever sheet is on the leftmost position. We're going to make sure that the master sheet is moved before that. Then we're going to do some basic formatting. So with me.cells.clear, clears the existing cells. And then for each SH, remember we declared that SH up here. For each SH in me.shapes, so the collection of shapes in the master sheet, we're going to sh.delete, delete that shape. And this for next loop will just go through each of these shapes in the collection of shapes. Then we're going to set the background color. In this case, I'm just going to make it their background color. We're going to set the row height and the column width. And those are the row height and column width set up here. If you scroll up, R height and C width inside the constants area. So those are just going to be pulled from up there. And after that, we exit the sub, and that should complete creating the master sheet, at least the basic form of it. So if I go and click on this next bookmark, see I've already bookmarked the worksheet activate event procedure. I can then click run. So you can see that the row heights have been changed and the column widths have been changed. Let's now look at the code for setup master sheet header. So first I will get rid of this comment and the next one. And then I'll scroll down, get some empty space. And then I will type sub procedure, set _up _master _sheet _header. And I'll paste in the code that I have from before. Okay, and what this is doing is within this with and with block, everything inside is going to apply to the object that is called me. In this case, me is the master sheet. So with me, first thing we'll do is add top and left padding. Now let me give you a visual reminder. What we're doing with M top padding, master top padding, is increasing the height of this row. And what we're doing with M left padding is we're increasing the width of this column. So first row dot row height, we're just going to add the existing row height to this M top padding, which is defined at the top in the constant area. And with the first column, we're going to do the column width. We're going to set that to the first column's column width plus M left padding. Next, we'll set up the master header. So all of this is going to apply to the cells specified by M row and M col. Well, what's that, you might ask? Well, M row and M col. Have a look at this. That's the start position. So it's marked by this X. In our case, we're going to have an M row of 2. So this is row 1, row 2, and an M column of 2, which is column 1, column 2. So we'll start with cells 2, 2. Second row, second column. We'll change the value to MS head text. In this case, we're going to say master sheet, but you could change that to table of contents or navigation if you want. And then we're going to change the rows 1 height, which is same as M row in this case. We're going to change that to M height, which you can see is the master height here. and then we're going to vertically align to center. Then we're going to change the font using the head font name and change the text color and make it bold and change the size to MS Master Sheet head font size. So all these 4 lines, they're going to make the font look like this. And of course, when you change the constants at the top, you can change this font name, for example, Arial or Arial Black or Calibri or Consolas, anything you want, and it will replace this constant here so that it will change the font name. Same with color and size. Now, the last thing we'll do is add bottom padding, and that's down here, M bottom padding, master bottom padding. And to do that, we're going to refer to dot cells 2, 2 in this case. And we're going to offset it by 1 row and 0 columns. So we're in X, we're going to offset it by 1 row to down here and 0 columns. So this cell here. And we're going to change the entire row height. So entire row dot row height. We're going to make that equal to M bottom padding. All right, and then that's the end of the sub. Let me go and run that. We'll go up here to bookmark and click run. And you can see it's changed the master sheet header to this text. Now let's look at the sheet list. The sheet list is this area here. So it's got the number elements and the name elements. Let's head back into the VB editor and we'll uncomment these using this button, uncomment block. And now we'll scroll down to find the sheet list sub-procedure. Here it is. So create sheet list. Let me use this rectangle tool to highlight. So we have this area where we declare the variables. You can read through all the descriptions. And then we have this area, which is setting the initial numbers. So the sheet count is going to be 1, the row number is S row, and the column number is S col. Now to remind you, S col and S row and S col, they are marked by the Y here. These are the constants we've defined at the top of the code module. And in here, we're just setting the first row number to be the position S row and the first column number to be the position S col. Next, we have a very long part, which is a for next loop. And this is going to go through all the sheets and list their names based on visibility. So the important part here is we'll only list the sheet name if it's not master, because we don't want to include the master in the sheet list. And either show it as true or the sheet is visible. So that's what this logic does. So if we decided that we're going to list the sheet, what we do is first set the sheet number. Then we set the sheet hyperlink. And finally, we check if the maximum number of rows has been hit. So if you remember down here, we go from 1 all the way down to 10. When we hit 10th row, we'll head back up and start a new column in here for number 11. We'll go down to 20, but if there are more sheets, it would go back up to 21, down to 30, and so on. And that max rows we've set at the top in the constants area. So I've glossed over this part here because I have another video that you can watch to how to list sheets in Excel. So I'll link to that in the description. And now let's have a look at the second part, which is down here, all about formatting it. So let me just highlight the part we're looking at. This is the part we're looking at. The first part we're going to do is format the sheet list numbers. And the second part of this is that we're going to format the sheet list names. So I've got this set up with a do loop until, and this is going to keep going until condition col count is greater than the column number. So at the beginning, col count is the same as S col, which is the first column we have here, marked by the Y. So what we'll do is format the sheet numbers here, we're going to change the interior color to the SL sheet list num back color. We're going to change the font to these properties. We're going to center align and horizontal align. Then we're going to change the borders, give a continuous border with weight 4. In this case, I've chosen a white color. Then we're going to auto fit the column. Then we're going to add a bit of padding, SL number call padding, to the column width. So by the end of this, we'll have the numbers looking like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Then we format the sheet list names, and then looking at each of those, we change the color to SL name back color. That's the name background color. Change the font to these properties. We again vertical align to center. Then we insert an indent, which is like a tab. So instead of the sheet name beginning right next to the border, there's a little space. So we've inserted an indent based on the number here. So sheet list name indent, you can give a value between 0 and 15. In this case, this indent is a value of 1. A value of 15, we push it all the way to the right. Then we're going to do something with the borders. We're going to format them to be continuous in this color and weight 4. And after that, we'll auto fit the column, and then we'll add some padding to the column width. So we'll make the column width same as the column width plus SL sheet list name call padding. And that adds a bit of padding to the right here. So after the formatting of the sheet list names is done, we're going to add 3 to the column count. Why 3? Because in the first column here, we have the numbers in column 1, the names in column 2, and we want a blank in column 3 before we start the next column. That's why call count is incremented by 3. You're going to add 3, so it's not 0, it's not 1, it's not 2, but it's 3. So the next column will start 3 to the right of the old one. Then we just keep looping until the column count is greater than the call number. And finally, we change the row heights. So everything on the master sheet, the cells starting from cells S row, S col in the current region, we look at the rows and the row height, we set it to S height. So this S height here, it's applied to everything in S row, S col here, so S row, S col. And then the current region, which extends this down. And we're looking at the entire row height. We'll change that from what it was before, the new S height. So I know that's quite a long sub-procedure, and I encourage you to download the workbook and study it properly. Also remember, I have another video all about listing sheets, so you can check that one out for some extra details on hyperlinks and so on. Now at this point, we're going to go back to the worksheet activate event procedure and run it to see where we go. But before we do, I'm going to set a breakpoint at each of these so we can stop and see what happens. So let's start by running this. First thing it's done is clear the sheet and set up the row and columns. Next, we're going to call this. I'll let it run. And what that's done is the master sheet header in place. Then I'm going to call this create sheet list. So this sub-procedure, I'm going to let this run. You'll see it's created the sheet list. The one final thing we want to do here is format a little bit more of this master sheet. So we've got just the master sheet left aligned at the moment, but I want to center it across all of these columns. So let's uncomment these 2 lines. Click on this button. We're going to go to the update _ master _ header _ format. It's right at the bottom, so I'll scroll there now. Okay, let's just bring this up a bit. This one's a bit shorter. First, we declare these variables, last cell as a range, and last col as a long integer. The first thing we're going to do is find the last cell. So we're going to set that range last cell to be me.cells.find. We're going to find anything, which is this asterisk. We're going to look after me.cells11, which is the top left-hand cell. We're going to look in formulas. We're going to look in parts of formulas as well, not just the whole cell. The search order is going to be by column, and the search direction is Excel previous. So what that means is it's going to go from column 1 back all the way to the very last column and then work its way to the left. And then match case is false, so we don't care about the case. Once we've done that, we're going to set the last column. So the last call equals the last cell, which we just found here, dot column. And after we've done that, we're going to go and change the formatting. So there's 3 parts to this. First part is set the center across selection here with the head color. And then the second part is changing the top border. And the third part is changing the bottom border. So just to show you what this horizontal alignment Excel center across selection does, it's going to start at cells M row, M column, which is the master row and the master column. And then it's going to go to the cell M row last column, so the last column we found. And if we look over here, what that does is it will start here and then go all the way to the end and center the text Master Sheet across one of those columns. So that's what the Excel center across selection does. Now we'll just check it does do that. I scroll back up. In fact, I don't have to do that. I just go to the bookmark and I press run. See, it's done everything, which includes adding the Master Sheet text, adding the sheet list, and then formatting this so it centers across all the columns. Great. Now we've completed the bulk of our work and can generate our Master Sheet. But one last thing, when a user clicks on a sheet name like sheet 18, they don't have a quick way to jump back from this sheet to the Master Sheet. You've got to scroll all the way to the left of the Worksheet tabs in order just to bring up the Master Sheet again. Let's make it easier for them. Level 8. We're going to add back navigation buttons to each worksheet except for the Master Sheet. This will make it easier for the user to navigate back to the Master Sheet. Now you could use text links like the ones for the sheet names, but they might overwrite existing content in a cell. So instead, we'll add clickable shapes. This is how they work. Let's say I click on sheet 15. Well, I can go straight back by clicking on the back button, and it takes me to the Master Sheet. Let's look at the VBA code. Here I am back in the sub-procedure update_master_sheet. This is the outline that we created in level 5. And in level 7, the last level, we've completed the procedures, the first 4 lines. And we're now on this part. So I'm going to select this and click on uncomment block. So this is now live. And I've already copied and pasted this inside from another place to save us time. So I'd like to show you there are a few main parts of this. As normal, we declare the variables at the top. We've got WS as worksheet, BTN as shape, button exists as Boolean, true or false. Then what we're going to do is use this for each next loop. And for each WS, each worksheet in this workbook.sheets, we're going to check first if ws.name, so the worksheet name, is not equal to master. So the reason we want to do this is we want to skip the master worksheet. We don't want to add a back button there. There's no point. But for every other worksheet, we're going to continue. And what we'll do first with every other worksheet is we'll check if there's already a button there. And so first we say button exists is false. For each BTN in ws.shapes, if BTN's name is BTN_go-to-master-sheet, which is the button we'll create later, then we know the button exists as true. And then we'll delete the button. So we want to delete any button that's already there in case someone has, by accident, changed the link or changed the text. So we want to recreate this from fresh. The next step is adding the button. And so with this, we specify the shape, the XY coordinate for the top left corner, the width and the height. Then we change some of the formatting to make the button look the way we want to. And then the final step of this sub-procedure is we assign a macro to the button. So keyword here is, first of all, with the shapes and the shape we just created up here, you see the btn underscore go to master sheet. With that shape on this sheet, we are going to add .on action. That means when a user clicks on this shape, what it's going to do is run this bit. So it's going to run this sub-procedure, which is on master sheet dot. So the master sheet, we specify the code name, remember up here, master sheet. So this sheet, which has a sub-procedure called go to master sheet, go underscore to underscore master underscore sheet. And we'll check out what this sub-procedure does just down here. What it does is in this workbook, with the sheet that's named master, it's going to activate it. And then with this workbook, with the sheet that's called master and the cell specified by sRow, sCol, it's going to select. So what is the cell sRow, sCol? It's the top leftmost cell in this sheet list. So when we get back to the master sheet, instead of, say, selecting this cell or another cell, it's going to be selecting the first sheet cell. Super. So now we have the ability to generate the master sheet with back navigation buttons on all other worksheets. What's next? Well, remember all those constants we defined at the top of the master sheet code? They're for customizing the colors and layout. Let's find out how to do that. Level 9. Here's our finished master sheet. I've given it a blue and light gray theme that might be good for most corporate work, but you don't need to stick to this color scheme. I've made it so you can quickly customize the colors and layout of the master sheet. So if we head into the VB editor and then scroll to the top part, which is declarations, you'll see there's a list of sample colors. And further down, each element of the master sheet. So the background sheet element, the header element, the sheet list main elements, and then further down, there's the sheet list number elements and the sheet list name elements. So we can choose different constants, say colors. If you want to choose a color gray 1, I'm going to copy that and show you what happens. Copy that and paste it down into the sheet list name element. So at the moment it says sheet list name back color is color gray 4. Double click there and Control V, paste color gray 1. That will be a dark gray. And we want the name text color, instead of making it blue, let's make it a white contrast against the dark gray. So I've got color white here. Double click on that, copy it, scroll back down, and then find sheet list name elements and text color. So instead of color blue, I'll double click that and Control V to make it white. Now I'm going to go back to this, to say sheet 1, and then click on master. And let's change the background color and the text color. So you can see if we make changes to the constants area up here, the code down here will pick up the new constant. So to help you out with customizing it, I've given you some sample colors in this gallery. And you can see if you click on this to expand the column, the master sheet specifications that I've used to generate this look. If you scroll down, as an example here, I've used an orange color and a black text. So the orange color is represented by this long integer and the black text is represented by 0. And you might wonder, how do you get these numbers? Well, I've got another gallery here, gallery 2. And gallery 2 shows different background colors that I've labeled color red 1, color red 2, color pink. And you see here, there is an RGB, a red, green, and blue equivalent, and also the long integer equivalent. So you could use either of these in the code. They should both work. And on top of that, I've added a user-defined function called color, which is inside the code module called color_func. If I Alt F11, I'll scroll down to that code module, double click on it, color_func. And so this short user-defined function, it returns the color. In this case, I wanted RGB. So if I look at the formula up here, color B20, 2, B20 happens to be this one, and it returns the RGB of that cell background. In this case, I've got color E20, 0, and this one returns the long integer of E20, which happens to be this cell. So you could use the user-defined function color to generate the RGB or the long integer version. And then you put it back into the constants up here, and you can add your own list of colors if you want. I've created a constant, each of these colors, as a quick reference. You can change these names, and you can change the values that they have based on the long integer value or the RGB values. And after all this work creating our master sheet, we have one more level to reach. Level 10. If you followed along at every level, well done. Woo! But even if you haven't, this level will still work for you. Why? Because once you have the master sheet fully coded, all you need to do is copy it to another workbook and it does its magic. So here I have a master sheet that's completed. I'm going to create a new workbook, and then I'm going to add a few more sheets. Let's go into my personal macro workbook, and I'll run this macro here. It's going to add 79 sheets to bring the total up to 80. Just to confirm that, I'll come down and right click, check. There are 80 sheets in this workbook now. Okay, so let's close that. All we have to do to add a master sheet to the beginning is switch back into the master sheet copy. Here's our master sheet, and right click on it, then click on move or copy. We're going to move it to the book we just created, which is called book 5 at the moment, before sheet 1, and click on create a copy, then click on OK. And just like that, a bit like magic, it's listed all 80 sheets in the new workbook. You've now learned effective methods for navigating Excel, ranging from the built-in navigation pane to our fully automated VBA master sheet. And as you've seen, Excel can be customized to a level that 99% of users don't realize is possible. So if you want to be in the top 1% of Excel users, make sure you subscribe to this channel and get notifications when I release a new video. And if you're ready to watch another tutorial right now, check out this suggestion or visit my channel for more.